picket, and to present petition to all public authorities peacefully and unarmed. Let me say this. The Kenyan Constitution was not made in one day, nor in a month. It took a whole process for it to be enshrined in a constitution, as a constitution. It was well thought, understood, and agreed upon. Let's take as our country. We have had so many cases in our country about corruption, and what was done? Nothing was done. Let's take an example of the NYS scandal after Excellency Anwar Guru. After Excellency Anwar Guru was summoned with some questions, and this is what he said. Ladies and gentlemen, for which reason must we have Uhuru Park and Peru Valley? Is for demonstration and to demonstration in order to arrest corruption. That's why I say civil protests and demonstration are used in order to arrest corruption. On to my second point, democracy. When citizens go on the streets protesting against corruption, this brings democracy and dictatorship. In the Kenyan Constitution, in Chapter 6, it allows massive inclusive, peaceful protests. This is whereby the Kenyan citizens conduct peaceful anti-corruption, which protect them will be meeting the constitutional rights, and citizens of Kenya are therefore linked to democracy. In the country, it enables the country to discourage dictatorship and enhance democracy. Thanks.
Never approach a bull from the front, a horse from the rear, and a donkey at the back. Sandra Michelle from the Blue House team is here, ready opposing this motion that states civil protests and demonstrations are the way of fighting corruption. I'll first by defining the motion. Civil protest is an organized public demonstration of disapproval or display disagreement with an idea or cause of action. Demonstration is a march or a gathering of people who come together in opposition to something or somebody. Fighting is an argument. Corruption is the attaining of something using illegal means, like a person bribing an institution for a child to get to that institution because it is among the best institutions in a country or the country. Why should we use civil protest and demonstration as the way of fighting corruption? Yet we have other better ways of how you can stop civil protest and demonstration. One of them being ending impunity. Why am I saying ending impunity? We can jail corrupt leaders or citizens who are engaging in civil protest and demonstration. There's also fine. Why fining corrupt leaders who are misusing the government's property can be charged very high and compelling them to pay back what they took twice or more than that they took. Using the Constitution to remove the corrupt leaders. The Constitution is there. We have the Bill of Rights. Yes, it's concerned for us. We can get peace. It's not a matter of us going using civil protesting and demonstration for us to get our rights. No. We can use the Constitution. It's there for us as citizens. It can protect us. We also have to empower citizens not to vote in corrupt leaders. If you know there's a person who is corrupt, you vote in for that person so that you are account of the economy of the place that you come from to protect. No, you won't. In the early 90s, during President Moi's leadership, protesters were beaten, e.g. Bishop Goya. They used civil protest and demonstration. That's what happened to Bishop Goya in the early 90s when the former president Moi was in leadership. Also have a case in the South Africa, Jacob Zuma, the former president. They used civil protest and demonstration for them to show that they want their rights. What happened was deaths of people. People died. People died that time. More than 72 people died. And now where's Jacob Zuma? In prison. As now as I'm speaking, he's still in prison. Why?
Proposing a motion that states civil protest and demonstration are the ways of fighting corruption. I'll start by rebutting. Now you ask a question, will you elect somebody who's corrupt? There are so many people that we elect and we never think that they are corrupt. A good example is the former governor of Nairobi. That leads me to my first point, responsibility. It creates a sense of responsibility. When somebody is patriotic to a particular country, will be disturbed if he or she sees the resources being mistreated or being misused. My second point, unity. People are brought together through civil protest. A good example is in Romania. In Romania, January 2017. A new government came into office. It had been elected on a series of financial promises. The first thing they did was to pass the legislation to amend the criminal code and discriminalize certain acts of corruption. The main intention of doing this was to create much more better ways for politicians who are involved in corruption to get away with it, thereby effectively slowing down the ongoing fight against corruption. The Ministry of Justice tried to pass this legislation through an emergency decree upon knowing its plans. In the same year, in mid-January, citizens active on social media organized 2 marches to put pressure on the government. As a result, the president intervened to have the government drop this piece of legislation. And what they did, they passed the legislation in the middle of the night when the citizens were not aware. When the citizens came to know about this, over 200,000 citizens went back to the street, and the government was forced to withdraw the legislation. Are you seeing the essence of unity? I like using unity is strength, united we stand, divided we fall. If we come together to protest against the government, then we will make them know our thoughts, we will make the government know our thoughts, and we'll force them to put place measures to eradicate corruption. Albert Einstein once said, you cannot do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. And if you expect different results, then you're a madman. Thank you.
Shocked? These are not my words. These are the words said by the common wananchi about police brutality during the protest. I go by the name Chinyabu Vanessa from the Blue Host team. We need to oppose this motion that states civil protests and demonstrations are the way to fighting. My first proposal, you said something on peaceful and unnamed. Can I tell you something? In the year 2020, there was a protest. Was it peaceful? No. People ended up dying. Innocent lives were lost. And as my fellow opposer said, in the 90s, during President Moi's leadership, protests were done and people were beaten up. Like the way she said, the bishop who was beaten up. Was it peaceful? Even though they came in a peaceful manner, people still were killed. People died. And the second proposal, you said about corrupt leaders being elected. If you say there's a corrupt leaders, that's why we have the constitution with us. You can go and report the corrupt leaders there. Okay. I'll start by asking you a question. Will demystifying corruption and inculcating the philosophy through civil protest help to suppress the white elephant in the room? I doubt if you have the answer to that, but let me enlighten you on my first point. Creating awareness. We should create awareness and sensitize against corruption, like in schools, barazas, also in our villages. In schools, we should bring creating awareness as a subject, as topics there, so that we can empower. Like as students here, you know we are in schools, we are the future leaders. We are the leaders of tomorrow, aren't we? We are. So we should bring these topics creating awareness as topics in school, so that we can be taught. We should have that integrity. So when we become leaders of tomorrow, we should know corruption is not good. Because as my first opposer said, if you know the effects of that, like being jailed, being fined, do you think you'll engage in corruption? No, you won't. On to my second point. Lack of peace. Most protests or demonstrations, whether peaceful or violent, end up in violence in most cases.
Let me take you back in the year 2020, the 9th of June. There was a peaceful demonstration in Nairobi. But what happened? People were killed. Lots of lives were taken. You think if you do the civil protest, do you think the one who is protesting and their families will be, do you think they are the ones who will be killed? No, many people will die. Not only the people from that family will get killed. Protests won't choose that this is the one who was being corrupt. They will kill only members of their families. No. Innocent children, they were on the road. Won't they be killed? Will they choose? No, they won't choose. I live with not this. Not between the year 2014 and 2015, there were 140 processes and 13 of them were against corruption. This means that it was not a good method of fighting corruption in our country. So please, give us reasons. Thank you.
If you might help me in singing this song. It is the song which I came to love so much. Sung by Bob Marley, whereby he said, get up, stand up for the right. Get up, stand up, don't give up the fight. Why should we always give up the fight? We say that about finding, use of constitution, creating awareness. And these the measures which have ever been taken since long time ago. Have they been helping us in any way? Let's take example in the whole world now the rate of corruption is too high. Why should we always keep on relying on the same thing? Why shouldn't we take new measures so that we can know what we are supposed to do? Why should we always put on relying on the government? Government, what is government? The whole government which you are relying on it, and it is always making us to fail in our own businesses, in our own everything. Why don't we just come out and fight for our own rights? Civil protest and demonstration, it doesn't mean that you are just coming out creating riots and everything outside the community. That doesn't mean that. You can even use Facebook, you can even go through internet and you can even do your own things using the internet. It's not a must for you to come out, and even if you come out, like how we have explained for you our motion is civil protest and demonstration. It is a polite but not very friendly way. That means you are using polite measures. I am feeling very pity of our own society that people doesn't understand by the word civil protest. The only thing about civil protest is something going out and creating riots. No. And even the one, when we are going out there, we are making our own civil protest. Who are the people who are making us to lose in our protest? The government is the one who is doing that. And you want to tell me that I should always keep on relying on the government, which is harming me in negatively and even in different ways. That's why I'm going to my first point. It will empower the people. How will it empower the people? It will empower the people. This is whereby it will create pathways that give citizens relevant tools to engage in the government, identify priorities, problems, and find solutions. Since the government will know that as long as we are going to have corrupt people, then the citizens are going to take part in that. The citizens are going to take things on their own hands. Why don't we just wake up? Why don't we just stop pretending as if we cannot see what is happening and what is coming in front of us? Why should we just get seated and thinking of nothing but only thinking of the way how we are going to lower our economy? And that's why I'm saying that using this method of civil protest is going to improve our economy.